Business Live today.
My name is Daryl Carl. Welcome once again to the program. Deputy Trade Minister Carlos Ahenkra is urging local companies to go beyond satisfying the Ghanaian market and also attempt to explore opportunities that abound in the export market. He was speaking to the media after touring Eden Tree Ghana. In Tema is a local company which processes and packages fresh fruits and vegetables. Eden Tree is one of the leading medium-scale companies in the country that processes, packages, and supplies fresh vegetables. The tour by the Deputy Minister of Trade, Carlos Ahenkra, was to get insight into the operations of the company, understand its challenges, and assess its prospects. In an interview after the tour, Mr. Ahenkra applauded the company for its compliance with standards. He encouraged local patronage of the products and challenged the company to explore opportunities in the export sector.
If we have a company such as this one here, I don't see any reason why hoteliers or large companies that are into catering should go out there and import tomatoes and onions and so on and so forth. The health measures that they have taken to come up with this such production would take them anywhere in this world and they will be accepted. Whilst we're about it, I'd like to also advise them that while looking at the domestic market, they should also consider improving towards the export market, because of course, obviously, there's going to come a time whereby they will be overwhelmed with this produce, and the infrastructure that we have within our nation will not be able to pick everything up.
Meanwhile, co-founder of Eden Tree Ghana, Alfred Benson, says several measures, including soft loans, have been extended to outgrowers to help feed the factory. The company currently produces less than 30% of its capacity. According to him, the company will employ more hands once it is operating at full capacity.
Our problem is that we are producing below par. So we want to use this medium to encourage the young people on the streets. They haven't got jobs today. Everybody's rushing to Accra. We're looking at a certain situation where you finish school in, let's say, Mampo. Will help you set up a farm. You don't need to come to Accra and come and walk the streets of Accra. See, we also have to conscientize people. And I think Ghana is so rich when it comes to the soil that we can produce anything to full capacity. So, like, we just finished this factory last year. This is the first year of operation. So we are targeting that. We are facing things out. And I'm telling you, I can assure you, maybe in 2 years time when you come here, you'll be surprised at the capacity of things out there. So it's a drive.
In 2010, Eden Tree launched a 50,000 Ghana cedi revolving fund for outgrower farmers in deprived and underprivileged communities in parts of Tema and Accra. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, John Peter Amewu, has ruled out any arbitrary review of the agreements a government has with big mining companies. The agreements grant tax reliefs to mining firms in a bid to encourage investments in the sector. During his vetting, Mr. Amewu indicated plans to review the agreements when he assumes office to maximize the economic benefits of the country's mineral resources. He now explains to Joy Business this would only happen at the end of each agreement.
Most of the mining companies' stability agreement will be coming to an end, and I know definitely when that comes to an end, they will be coming back for a review, and that is where the discussion is going to progress.
So which time period are we looking at for the end?
It depends. I know, for instance, Anglo Gold Ashanti, that one is coming to an end by 2018 or so, in the next 2 years or so. Some has about 5 years yet to go. So when those agreements, terminate, some 3 years, we will begin to look at the review.
So it's not going to happen anytime soon after all?
2 years from now, it's not.
The indication you gave was that once you assume office, that's what you...
No, that was no indication. You don't forget, some of this have already been reviewed. The Akila Pasoy's committee has done the review already.
I knew this when you made the announcement that you were going to consider reviewing it.
Well, consider reviewing those that will come to an end. Okay. When they are... the new stability agreement ends, you need to look at the review. That was exactly what I meant.
That's not what came out.
Well, but that is what I meant. So I'm happy you're understanding clearly what I meant.
Put it in context, because the Chamber of Mines welcomed it, except that they said that once you're going to do it, in the context
it's not
of
going to be done unilaterally. It's not something that I walked into my office and say, bring all your stability agreement for review. No, not at all. They will come to an end. Akila Pasoy's committee has reviewed some. Some of the companies even are demanding for more stabilizations in their clauses. So these are things we can look at, collectively. It's not anything we can do, with a unilateral decision. Not at all.
Now, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has expressed government's commitment to keep its expenditure within approved budgets. According to the Vice President, this is because of the impact of budget overruns on the economy, inflation and the cost of credit. The Vice President was with some management members of Standard Bank of South Africa and Stanbic Bank Ghana, who paid a courtesy call on him at the Flagstaff House. Government over the years has had serious challenges in sticking to approved annual budgets by Parliament, but the Vice President said this is about to change.
It's a laser focus on the economy so that we don't get surprises and we can be ahead of the curve, in terms of policy decisions and what we need to do. We're very, very responsive to what the private sector is going through, whatever challenges, particular businesses are going through, and how we can help them overcome those challenges if there's red tape or bureaucracy. We've made it very clear that we are going to manage the economy in a very fiscally disciplined manner. That is fundamental to everything that you're going to do. That's the fundamental source of all the reforms we intend to do, is solid fiscal discipline. We've basically taken a number of initiatives. Of course, we've decided deliberately not to do a Eurobond this year, to take a breather. We thought it was more responsible to do that, to look at where things were and try to get the economy back onto a growth path and make the assessment going forward when we add more debt and so on. We've begun a process of reprofiling the debt, basically to replace more expensive contracted debt with less expensive short-term, with longer term, so that the fiscal space can be done. I'm sure you know about the first attempt at doing this. We were able to attract some $2.2 billion of investment into reprofiling the debt, which basically showed that there was market confidence.
All right, so let's get some analysis on this. We are joined on the line by economist John Gachi. We had the Vice President there. Is he paying lip service considering the current economic conditions? Hello, Mr. Gachi.
Hello. Yeah, I didn't hear your question.
Okay, so I was trying to find out. The Vice President is talking about keeping within the budget. I'm asking, is he only paying lip service considering the current economic conditions?
Actually, I didn't hear what he said. So if you can frame your question so that I can speak my mind.
Okay, so government is saying that it's going to keep within the budget this time around, ensure that there are no overruns because of this impact on the economy, inflation, and the cost of credit. And we want to know if this is just lip service the Vice President is paying, or is something that is achievable, looking at our current economic state.
It is not lip service. It's an ideal expectation for the country. Bearing in mind that the IMF program which they are running expect that you tone down expenditure, work within the limit of the budget. So it's a requirement that we must abide by, and it is also very good for prudent economic management. But as to whether we are going to achieve that at the end of the day, we have to wait and see, because sometimes it is not the wish of the managers of the economy to engage in huge expenditure beyond what is expected. But some difficulties come their way. As we speak right now, the revenue mobilization expectation for the first quarter has not been met. and there are difficulties in mobilizing revenue, not only because some taxes have been cut, but because generally there are difficulties within the economy. The revenue agency, especially the GRA, has a pipeline of a number of debtors on their list that they have not been able to collect tax debt from. All those things are outstanding. So there are difficulties in revenue mobilization. At the same time, government program itself has actually expanded the expenditure stream of the country. So these difficulties will continue to be there. The demand of the people is ongoing. We have seen the nurses, trainees picketing, teachers doing the same thing. If you are forced to take them on board, you have increased expenditure. So these difficulties will continue to take place within the economy. And if these difficulties are met, but they are not actually aligned with revenue mobilization of the country, then you will record deficit, and that would defeat the expectation of the government.
Well, listening to you, it sounds like a very difficult feat if government really wants to keep within the budget. What would you advise government to be doing now to be able to achieve that?
Well, I think the key thing is to prune down expenditure and ensure that there is proper public expenditure management. That will also require that we need to enhance revenue mobilization. But the unfortunate thing is that the measures that we need to put in place to increase revenue mobilization are such that when you begin them today, they will not result in immediate revenue mobilization. But expenditure happens from time to time. So some of them will come without any expectation. We have already seen a lot of things that have happened within the year. Some disasters have happened within the year. Nobody planned for them. You need to meet those expenditures. We can have some huge unexpected difficulty in the energy sector. You don't want to see the country go in darkness for long. You have to meet those expenditures. So that is the reality. So that is why I say that it is an ideal situation. We need to work harder than ever before to increase revenue mobilization from all sources, and at the same time maintain low expenditure for the country.
Okay.
But as to whether the engagement of the government already indicates that we are poised to ensure low expenditure for the fiscal year is something that Ghanaians can question.
All right. Thanks very much for your thoughts. That was economist John Gachi there, speaking on the Vice President's words that government would try and keep within budget. We want to move on now, and government has been tasked to create an enabling environment for Ghana's information technology sector to create more jobs for the youth. Now, stakeholders in communication and technology have come together at the 5th International Conference on Management, Communication and Technology to find out innovative ways government could bridge the graduate unemployment gap through information technology. There's more in this report.
The 5th International Conference on Management, Communication and Technology brought together technology entrepreneurs and other stakeholders in the tech field to explore ideas to make ICT more relevant in Ghana's job market. President of the Ghana Technological University College, Dr. Osei Dakwa, wants government to invest heavily in the tech industry so as to make Ghana an ICT giant in West Africa. In an interview with Joy Business, Dr. Osei Dakwa said he believes the unemployment situation in Ghana could be mitigated if appropriate structures are put in place to strengthen the ICT sector.
Most of the institutions have some level of internet. The challenge in most of these institutions is the level of bandwidth, and then also the cost of the bandwidth. So it limits our ability to do our work. For example, today we've moved from the physical, internet to what we call the virtual internet, where even in education, some institutions are putting courses online where they use videos and all that. But because of the limitations that I mentioned, for example, most YouTube is in frames, and it makes using the tool very, very difficult. we really need to have a policy that will address this challenge. We know the technology is available. The submarine cable runs through Ghana. We have several ISPs who are providing internet access, but then we need to work on the bandwidth.
Director of the Academic City College, Dr. Abhishek Taji, believes embracing ICT gives Ghana the opportunity of revolutionizing the public sector. He tells Joy Business that educational institutions are fully prepared to partner government in improving the sector.
We have seen that there has to be a lot of things done, as I've mentioned in my presentation, that the inclusion of science and technology, the students become interested if they are held early in their lives, between the age of 9 and 11, as has been studies in UK universities, that if students are influenced more with mathematics and science at the age of 9 to 11, they are perhaps the potential people who are going to have love for technology, and they will be able to program themselves for these changes.
The two-day event was under the theme Impact of Internet on Things in Communication and Business Environment.
The Ghana Stock Exchange says it's worried telecoms giant MTN will not end up listing on the market post-initial public offering. MTN is currently working to give out about 35% of the business to Ghanaians. This is part of the requirements for the four licenses secured recently. Now, however, MTN has secured approval to go ahead with the offer without listing on local buzz. Managing Director of the exchange, Kofi Yamwa, tells Joy Business you are looking forward to MTN coming onto the exchange because of its impact on the capital market.
The last discussions we had with them is that we know that they will be doing a public offer, but we also know that that public offer will not lead to a listing on the exchange. In other words, there will be a public company out there which is not listed, very similar to the likes of NIB and so forth. So that is the situation.
Are you worried about that? We would have all wished that such a big company coming onto the market and its implications on the stock exchange as well.
Yes,
they are not coming onto the market. Yes, are you worried?
Yes. I wouldn't use the word worry, but I would have wished that for such an entity, it sets the benchmark high in terms of being a public listed company. And that so doing will create the opportunity for or lesson for other companies, knowing very well that currently this market hasn't got any telco on it and so forth. And so my wish is that if they don't do it now, then it's something that they should consider doing in the near term.
Yeah, government has talked about some of the companies in the energy sector working on them to come onto the market. What about that one as also? We are hearing of some banks as well. Have they also communicated their intention to come onto the market?
No, we also know that some banks are considering, but we've not had official communication in this. In terms of the procedure, usually the first approach is to the advisors.
Okay, so let's make sense of all of this. We are joined on the line by Bertha Tubiga of Gold Coast Fund Management. So help us out, Bertha. MTN can issue an IPO and not list on the market. Does that work that way?
Yes, thank you very much for having me today. It's possible for companies to issue IPOs and not list on the stock market. And a typical example is NIB Bank, the Distant Latins, and other companies as well. So what MTN is doing is not quite different from what others have already done. But it's mandatory that they do that. Once they are in the country, the National Communication Authority will want them to actually give parts of the company, like they should give Ghanaians or locals the opportunity to own shares of the company. So with what they are doing right now, it's kind of like they already have, all things being equal, they already have the buyers, put it that with a high net worth corporate and individual clients who are going to buy shares of MTN. So, and it's also going to have a very significant impact on the current performance of the Ghana Stock Exchange.
Well, because that was going to be my next question. What would MTN have added if they listed on the market, really? What would they have brought on board?
Most companies actually go on the stock market, like listing on the stock market. One of the main reasons why they do that is to raise capital through the IPO to be able to expand their businesses or some other operations within the company. But with MTN is already an established multinational company that has its money. Like, let me put it that way in layman's terms, they already have the money. And from last year, if you look at their records, you realize that on daily basis they make about 2 million Ghana cedis profit. So they are not looking for the money, but because they already have the money and it's an established company, but they are looking to do what they are expected to do by their regulators, that is the National Communication Authority. So it's not anything different. NIB did a similar thing, but with this, they already have the high net worth individual and corporate clients that are going to buy these shares of MTN.
All right. Thanks for the analysis, Betha Atubiga of Gold Coast Fund Management there. Thanks. Now, CalBank says it is implementing strategies that will help turn around its dwindling fortunes this year. This is despite a dip in profits for the first quarter of the year after another significant fall in earnings for last year. CalBank's profits before tax dropped from 221 million cedis to 17 million in 2016. According to the bank, fast-tracking collections of these debts and embarking on some cost-cutting measures would quickly improve their situation this year. Philip Oredu is the executive director of CalBank.
The experiences that we had in 2016, we've actually built some sort of learning blocks from that in terms of ensuring that the sort of provisions that we took in last year, which impacted very significantly on us, we would ensure that we wouldn't have the same problems going forward. I also did indicate that in terms of diversifying the sources of revenue, even within sectors, in terms of the companies that we deal with, we are diversifying that in terms of the clientele portfolio, in terms of the people that we deal with in the various businesses to ensure that we increase our revenue generation. I think the settlement process started last year, where a certain part of that debt was isolated by government, asked ENY to verify those figures. They came to a certain conclusion as to what they've been able to verify and can be paid, and government actually started the process of payment. Obviously, that payment was in two parts: what came from the central bank and what came from the Ministry of Finance. Central bank settled its part in full. Ministry of Finance is yet to settle its part in full.
You're watching Business Live. We are taking a short break. We'll be back with our interview of the day.
Business Live today.
Welcome back. The ongoing amendment of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center (GIPC) Act is likely to be ready for parliamentary consideration by the middle of the year 2017. This, according to the GIPC, will enhance its quest to improve the business environment to attract more foreign direct investments. With the new amendment, foreign investors hoping to establish in Ghana may enjoy tax holidays and other incentives similar to what indigenous firms are enjoying. Chief Executive of the GIPC, Yofi Grant, explains to Joy Business some of the amendments on the sidelines of this year's Economic Councillors Dialogue in Accra. That's our interview of the day.
Interview of the day.
Parts of the law which we think we could look at again to attract investors into the market. One that has been a bit controversial is capital limits. That says that, you know, if you're in a joint venture with a foreigner, the foreigner needs to bring in a minimum or demonstrate a minimum inflow of $200,000. And if it's a foreign company that wants to be 100% owned, it should bring a minimum capital inflow of $500,000, and for trade, $1 million. That, it has a reason for being there, but is that reason still pretty valid? Has it been helpful in getting our companies to grow up and become as big? My belief, and from the literature and the research we are doing, is not. So maybe we need to look at that law and open out and says, no, we will still say that if you come and invest here, bring in the minimum, maybe whatever figure it is.
Interview of the day.
And thanks for watching tonight's edition of Business Live. We have another show for you tomorrow. Stay tuned.